In 2023, Larian Studios swept the award circuit with Baldur's Gate 3, being the first game to win every major Game of the Year award. Late last year, we got to sit down with the CEO of Larian Studios, Swen Vincke, covering running a global studio with 7 locations all over the world, what was on Sven's Game of the Year list for 2024, and their approach going into their next project after the success of Baldur's Gate 3. This is the 20M Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 20M Podcast, the show about games and the people behind them. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Arief. This is my illustrious, amazing co-host, Rino. And what we do on the podcast and what we do on the show here is talk about games, but most importantly, the people behind them. We not only cover games, whether they be AAA or indie, but we really want to make sure that we celebrate, showcase, and talk about the folks that are making the moves behind some of your favorite games or some games that you have yet to hear about. So Rino, this was a special episode. We got to interview Swen Vincke from Larian Studios, the head of Larian Studios at Level Up KL.
I'm so jealous. I have so much FOMO. I didn't get to go this year. I just want to put it out there, okay? I have a lot of FOMO. But what an amazing opportunity. And not as random as what most people would think. I know our friends in C are pretty well aware of this, but Larian Studios actually has a studio in Malaysia.
Yeah, and it's awesome because they were in Malaysia. They've been in Malaysia for quite a couple of years, but their studio has just been growing and growing and growing. So the interview with Sven really covers their strategy into not just the Malaysia team, but how they handle teams all over the globe to make something as ginormous as Baldur's Gate 3. And one more thing before we cut to the interview here is they also kind of tease their approach for their next project post Baldur's Gate, but also most importantly, what's on the man and the team who won a bazillion Game of the Year awards, what's on their list for Game of the Year this year in 2024. So without further ado, let's go ahead and cut to the interview. Can you speak a little bit towards the commitment for Larian to stay a global studio? Right? I want to focus on what you mentioned over here. The celebration of Level Up KL is really towards the Malaysia team. But the way that we've seen Larian evolve is really to set up global practices through not just regional practices. I'm just curious about what the strategy is there. And can you speak to the success of?
Well, I mean, our games are very big, so it works better if we can work 24 hours around the globe. So that's why we set them up over multiple studios. We gain a bunch of extra bonuses with that because we get a wider and more diverse recruiting base that we can use. So that has a very big impact actually, and the being present where our audience is across the globe is also actually quite a big bonus.
I just want to double down on a quick one there, right? Because typically studios that come here, they purely do outsourcing practices, right? Yeah. And I'm curious to get your take on that, right? Because Malaysia, from what I understand with TIMECODES, it's you're bringing in not only trying to look for narrative folks, trying to look for folks across the ecosystem that fulfill needs that you would consider more Western talent would fulfill. I'm curious how.
Some talent just isn't here traditionally, but it can grow, and so we're proving that it can grow. It just takes longer time. I was really happy to hear someone from the team yesterday tell me we are a real game development studio now, because it's true. Because in the first couple of years they felt like they were outsourcers. I said no, that's not true. You have to take ownership. And it was quite hard for them to actually do that. Now they're taking it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so it's so important because it's the only way you're going to really make games by taking that ownership.
Absolutely. And I guess maybe just a question that I'm assuming you've gotten quite a bit, right? But post event circuits, right? Post award circuit now with Baldur's Gate 3, I want to talk a little bit about ambition. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious your take on Larian as a studio and how you're tackling not only the pressure of the next couple of games that you said you've been working on, but I want to get a sense of how the team is approaching a post Baldur's Gate workflow or approach. So from a perspective of are the games that you're looking to make, is the intention to go bigger and better or shorter and more efficient from a shipping process?
We're an ambitious team. So we always want to improve ourselves. And that has been the one continuous thing throughout all of Larian's history, trying to do better with whatever you learned, apply it in the next game. So we're doing that. You have to see what that is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On a personal side of things, I've seen you walking around the show floor quite a few times at Level Up KL in the past. It's always hard to get you because I know you're bouncing from thing to thing. But as a major studio like Larian, what's your perspectives on the independent scene as well, right? I've seen you hands-on going with demos. Can you speak to the quality of games that are coming from the region or your perspective?
It's growing. I think you can see it also the games that were here showcased. Actually, there was some really good stuff in there that I didn't know, and so I was taking pictures and I'll try it out. And so no, I think I mean the quality of game design is going up. There's no doubt about it. It's literally going up. So I think, and you're seeing that here too.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe my last one here is more of on you, right? How much time have you actually allocated to playing games this year? And I'm also curious, we're getting towards the Game Awards season now. I'm sure the position you guys are at now versus last year is vastly different. I'm curious, are there any champions in your eyes for games that you've been playing that are either of that caliber, or if you think that would be Game of the Year nominated?
The games I like the most so far, I'm playing Vampire Survivors Co-op right now on PS5. I love it. It's great. I've been playing UFO 50, which is a game I think needs more attention. Baldur is definitely going to be the one that's up there for me. But I've been playing a lot of roguelites, right? But I'm traveling a lot, so I'm playing my Steam Deck the entire time.
It just makes it so much more efficient.
So I'm curious to see what the Veilguard is going to do. So we'll see.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to this side of the 20M podcast. Rino, how was that interview for you?
I think really great insights, like, especially as a Malaysian, like I'm so curious to, like, what are they cooking down there? What was the reason for, coming to Malaysia? What are his thoughts on the growing Southeast Asia industry? Because, he's got insight, he's got not just insight, but he's got stakes in the game, right? So really great to hear that he's really interested in seeing the talent grow, and like really interested in like the indie scene as well. That was really cool. What were some of your favorite takeaways?
You kind of nailed it. Like, I'm serious when I said it, because like on the interview itself I said it, but I was like, you see Swen like walking the booths every single level up KL, because I'm pretty sure he's come for the past like 3 years or so, if not more. But he's like playing indie games, and like he knows a couple of the indie folks, like 1 to 2 people development teams here in Malaysia. So it's just so amazing, and like genuine props to have a figure that helmed a game like Baldur's Gate 3 really pay attention to the indie scene, let alone here in Southeast Asia. But yeah, just what a interesting kind of discussion to see how they're building global teams as well. Like, that's probably the craziest insight from that interview.
I think for us as well, we're always talking about, building connections, right? Whether it's like see folks going abroad, or, folks from the West or other parts of the world coming to see. And then when you've got, a studio base that's in one place and then one place in Southeast Asia, I think that automatically builds that connection, right? For knowledge sharing, for upward career mobility, for being able to just like get folks in Southeast Asia working on amazing, global titles. I think it's really fantastic. And hopefully more studios open up shop in Malaysia.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm really looking forward to the next time we can chat with Swen, and maybe, the both of us can do like an in-person like podcast with him and the team here. But man, I know even Larian Studios had a big presence at Gamescom Asia, and some of that content you can find on the channel as well here. But thanks for joining us on this very special, not normal 20M podcast, non-podcast episode, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.